Welcome to the Crane Crew channel. Thanks for checking out our video. This channel is for those people interested in cranes. And you might be thinking, well, cranes? Why? Well, it's a very interesting industry. You get to see the inner workings of all these, world-class steel and automotive, aluminum, paper manufacturers. Any of the larger heavy industries that have to have material handling. It's a hands-on experience. It's also a tight-knit fraternity of people that really just kind of tend to stay in the industry. So that's why this channel is focused, which is called the Crane Crew, on improving crane technicians' careers, increasing the network of crane people, and helping to increase technicians' opportunities. So this video is titled "So You Want to Be a Crane Tech." So we're going to try to show what's involved with being a crane tech and what are some of the career options? Uh, my name's Mike Williams. I've been in this and only this industry since the 80s, so I've got a real unique perspective on cranes. I'd say I have crane DNA. So, I also don't have any real bias. I have my own consulting company, so I don't really, have a bias towards one crane company or another. I do have family and friends, though, that are in this industry. But before we really get started, we want to define crane types. So, we're speaking the same language. And we're not talking about crane operators, but I want to show you a couple of the different crane types so that we can talk a little bit about more of what we're going to be discussing. Okay, so first we've got the Ocean 1919 Maritimes and then the tower cranes. We've got portal and radial cranes. We've got the ship to shore and intermodal cranes. We've got construction cranes, but we're not going to talk about any of those cranes that I just mentioned because what we are going to focus on are these, the overhead cranes. This is our focus of this channel, and this is what we're really going to talk about. I just want to throw in one just behemoth crane, the largest in the world. The Yante is a 20,000 ton crane that lifts entire oil rigs for its customers. Crane people can do things that others can't, or let's just say they won't do. The type of work ethic is unique in many ways. The average crane technician's skill set is becoming more of a rare commodity in the workforce today, I hate to say. Also, this niche really seems to attract some people. It's not easy, but it is very rewarding. However, I don't want to sugarcoat this. So there are definitely some challenges of being a crane tech. So for example, you might be dealing with older plants or dark conditions. You might be dealing with high voltage, antiquated or obsolete equipment. You may be troubleshooting without any drawings or schematics. You might be dealing with some pretty great heights. Your conditions might be hot, and it might be cold, long hours. You might have to knock off some snot sickles. Anxious customers. But it is very, very rewarding to have a project, come in time, under budget, and you've saved the customer a lot of money or actually even prevented the plant from being shut down. It's very, very rewarding. Some other circumstances you might find yourself in, you might be working in your shop environment, working off of the spec, maybe in the install group. But the key is variety, and variety is a big part of the attraction for many of the technicians that I know that are in this industry. So crane techs are a special breed. So let's just talk a little bit about skills and pay. So what do these folks usually make? After doing some research on the employment sites and talking to some crane colleagues here, it appears like the average wage is about $25 for the average skill set. So you just take a look at, say, Indeed or ZipRecruiter, and you look at the last week's reports from June, and you can take a look at those and find out that let's say Louisiana's average tech's about 20, Hawaii's about 30, so the average is about 25. You get it. Some companies are willing to pay a little bit more than average, obviously. This is just a benchmark. So on the topic of skills, this is not a comprehensive list, but these are the most common skills of an average crane tech here at the top that we just talked about. You need to have these in order to get that average. I've added some intermediate skills here. You can see that this list is pretty inclusive, and then also more advanced skills that actually get into the world of automation, which really opens up your opportunity. I can link this below, but we can see that the wages do escalate, and it goes way beyond just average wage when you start to add those additional skills. If we're going to be asking for some bigger wages, it's only fair that we also consider that we need to be pretty good at offering some of the soft skills that employers really need to have as well. I mean, it's only fair. Like, we need to be proficient at some of the digital devices for handling this new digital paper flow. That is, getting your assignments and purchasing materials, handling your payroll, service reports, turning in your reports in general. Need to be proficient at that. Being able to, order your own materials, job parts and things like that, raw materials. That's a huge benefit to your management team. I think if you can gather the correct tools for the job, that's also huge. Rental equipment, you got to pick up that man lift, a welder, a trailer, and my favorite, a thermite igniter. But also being able to use trailers safely, talking about them. We don't want to be driving over any gas pumps there at Speedway. Monitor your service truck, the conditions, how do you fuel, how do you expense, who's taking care of that, make sure the conditions are good for your brakes and your tires, and um, to be able to be good at diagnosing jobs and doing an effective pre-job walk, to be able to verify all the details are correct, from whoever sold the job, management or sales, you want to make sure that there's no details left undone. Checking in and out with customers. This is huge. Okay, so we've got another whole video on that. That's a key to making you a better tech. Handling problems and complaints with customers. Job site safety. We could spend a day on that one, but making it home in one piece, very important. Working with your teammates. These are also real critical skills that need to be assumed that you're going to be bringing to the table. So the point is that you should be able to make more money, with more skills. So according to the Department of Labor in 2017, the economic outlook for this position, crane tech, is very, very good. There's a shortage of each of these trades: electricians, mechanics, and millwrights. And I consider that actually the group that can define what a crane tech can do. Think of supply and demand. If there's a shortage, that's good for you. It's not so good for the economy. But the three main reasons for this shortage: experienced electricians, mechanic, and millwrights are retiring faster than ever. There's not enough new electricians, mechanics, and millwrights that are coming into the industry. Only 16% of high school and college students say they want to get into the trades. That's pathetic. Okay, demand though for electricians, mechanic, millwrights, which I'm calling a crane tech, is increasing, right? So, jobs are expected to grow from the Department of Labor by 14% from 2020 to 2030. So that's a pretty good bump for just those trades. Here's the clincher. Crane technicians have a huge advantage. A crane tech is really three or more trades in one. What a value you guys are. So don't forget that. The outlook also for automation skills is also going to expand. You got to check out these videos here on kind of the future of control. And we've got some other videos on that by itself. There's several companies with excellent autonomous controls for our industry, and I think that might be what the future holds. And like artificial intelligence is a big key buzzword these days, and they're afraid it'll be taking away some jobs, and I think that could be legitimate for some. But it's going to be a long time before a crane tech is taken over by an AI crane tech. So by the time that happens anyway, Skynet will already be in charge. Okay, so you might be saying, how do I get these skills and where? Well, in my experience, this is where many of the technicians obtained their knowledge in the past. And I encourage you to seek out additional training through third parties, vendor provided, back to trade schools. Your employer may actually offer some tuition reimbursement, through some of those schools. Take a look at that. We have a video on some great training options as well here on the Crane Crew channel as well. So there's some companies that are out there that have great training departments, and there's some that have absolutely zero training. So that's a consideration, I think, too, of your employer. So there's also another level of planning your career that you might consider. This is more of a longer term strategy, but I think it deserves at least a little bit of consideration. And that is that if we talk about the different career paths that you might be taking, with the skills that you have. So we got to remember though, we're talking about overhead cranes, not construction, not even port cranes. So please take that in mind. Okay, so let's say you've upgraded your skills and you're ready to explore some other opportunities. So this might be one roadmap. It's not the only roadmap, but this one can help you kind of stay within your crane skills family. And let's just say that we start right there in the middle with Joe, the crane guy there, starting with some average skills. Now, I know a real Joe, the crane guy, and he doesn't have average skills. He lives out west. But I digress. So let's start out here with some of these great opportunities in companies that actually use cranes as part of the process to make the products that they sell to their customers. And these great companies have got well-funded maintenance teams, crane crews. There's dozens and dozens more of these here in the U.S. Than I've got listed here, but the ones that I have listed here, I know are looking for people, right this minute. So they've got great, great opportunities within their crane department. Another opportunity is, considering companies who produce the components that crane companies need to function. Your skills could be transferable. I mean, they have tech support, they have install teams, they have system integrators. Okay, these are some very, very sound companies, and they're leading the way with controls. There's pros and cons for working with a company like this, but these are some really good companies. How about being your own boss? Start your own company. Maybe you could be an independent contractor, a consultant, or a free agent. That is a great option. So make sure though you get some advice on this one, and you just don't want to jump from the frying pan to the fire here, without doing your homework. There's several hundred crane companies in the U.S. for overhead cranes. There's over 5,000 for construction cranes. But in my experience, they're really grouped this way. That is, regionals, nationals, and international companies. So we'll start with the regionals here. And the regionals are usually, family-owned, investor-owned private companies. Some offer some service, some, buy their components from other bigger companies, and then they assemble things. Some focus on smaller equipment. Some even started out as rigging companies. So there's some pros and cons to these, and there are quite a few that are out there. And then you have, your national companies, and these have a little bit more geographic reach, and they've got their niche markets, and they might even sell some of their products to some other crane companies as well to assemble into their, in delivery. So these folks are just a little bit larger or focus on equipment sales. We have the internationals. Okay, so there's other international companies, but these are the ones that focus in North America primarily, and they usually produce all of their products with a huge global supply chain, factory coverage, R&D. They make their own stuff. They have hundreds or thousands of employees. They can really offer some great positions and assignments, and there's definitely pros and cons for working with these kinds of companies as well. The best option might just be to stay right where you are. We all know that inflation is out here killing the middle class, and it's going to take at least 5% more dollars a year just to keep up, with costs. That's very tough just to break even. Try that on retirement. So you could try to push for a promotion at your current employer. You know what they say. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So talk to your HR, talk to your supervisor's supervisor. See what the gaps are that you may have, in your current skills from the ones that you're trying to aspire to, and then go get those skills. Maybe they'll even help you. I mean, they might have tuition reimbursement or offer, at least some benefit for you going back to school to just get those skills. They may have some internal training that you can sign up for. So that's a huge opportunity. And you could be promoted into the office, engineering, sales, management. You could become a lead tech or a master in a certain discipline. You might be a customer site manager or a project manager. Get on the install team or be a trainer. As you can see here, there's some nice options for crane technicians. This really doesn't even show them all. When you're ready to make your move, though, for any of these career paths that we just talked about, I really suggest that you do some networking. Check out those employers' websites. Contact their HR department. See if you can get some people that you can talk to at those organizations. You can also go on LinkedIn, look those companies up, and you can actually get a hold of some of those employees. I do it all the time. And at that point, you're really asking them, hey, what do you think about the company that you're working for? Is that a good company? What are some of the things that you can tell me about them? And for me, I'm more interested in the chemistry of the team that I work with. So those are the kind of things that I'm really trying to inquire about. So don't make a move until you've done your homework, and remember, staying where you are might be your best option. So I also just want to point out that we do need to offer something of value really to get those promotions. We just can't really wish we could get those promotions. I think we really need to earn those promotions. So just going further into the crane tech's background here, let's try to define a little bit of some of the traits of a crane tech. And you know, if this sounds like you, well, then you're really in the right place. Okay. So an excellent work ethic. You're not afraid of the extra hours if those have to happen. You be traveling on occasion. That's possible as well. You like variety in your work. Technically, you're resourceful. You're competent. You love a challenge. You have a multi-discipline skill set, okay? And you're constantly learning, but you like that. And the number one character trait, you feel like you are a problem solver. Uh, that's the number one. The kind of person that you might like to have around, or at least they're going to have a chance in case the crap hits the fan here in the world someday. You know, which could be likely. I also just feel like I need to mention that it's not always about the money. Job satisfaction, having a fulfilling purpose is actually very important. At least in my opinion. So the people that I work with, and the people that we work with, they're the ones that make it what it is. It's a close-knit team, and that also includes the people in the office. Can't forget that. So don't forget how important those coworkers are, and they are the key to making a workplace a great workplace. So, try to have a little fun and keep each other safe. If you have a tough environment in your office, be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Hey, remember, we need more crane techs out there. Just one more point. It's no secret that U.S. heavy industries have been disappearing over the last 20 years. It's been a geographical shift as well, just from the Rust Belt up in the Midwest and down into the South and the Southwest. A lot of the industries have moved that way. So, since your skills are so critical in many parts of the country, you may consider actually relocation to be able to line yourself up with them. And in this video, we've been talking how good the crane industry is as a career selection and the different types of cranes. So we know that there's some differences in the approach, and we're talking mostly overhead cranes with this. As I mentioned earlier, being proactive in your plan there to seek out these opportunities, whether it be within your own company or others, do a little homework. I think also networking with other crane people. There's some options now on the social networks that are out there. So I hope that helps. So thanks a lot for listening. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and hope to see you again on Crane Crew.